YouTube has issued a hard second strike to Steven Crowder's channel, Louder with Crowder, which means he will not be able to publish any content on that platform for 2 weeks. He's also reported that they've given him a hard strike on his Crowder Bits channel, which is segments from his show. And even though the first strike on that channel is a 1-week suspension, meaning you can't post anything for that week, because his other channels are related, the 2-week applies to everything. The last time Crowder got a strike on his main channel, he tried to upload an explanation to his other channel, Crowder Bets, and they gave him a warning for this. So if Steven Crowder gets one more strike, he will be permanently deleted. So, of course, you can go to louderwithcrowder.com, I believe, /mug club if you want to support Steven Crowder, because it's only going to get worse. You know, they're going after Steven Crowder right now. He is the main target. After this, you know they're going to be looking for the next target. And there's 2 big reasons this is happening. You need only Google search Steven Crowder to figure out why YouTube is coming after him. What comes up when you search for Steven Crowder? Media Matters, Media Matters. Antelope Valley Press, meh. Tribune Review, meh. Daily Signal, eh. But then Media Matters, Media Matters, Media Matters, Media Matters. The majority of the search results are Media Matters going after Steven Crowder, and often taking him out of context. That's how they were able to go after him during the Carlos Maza scandal. Basically, in that instance, Carlos Maza had referred to himself as with a variety of names, and Crowder referred to him of the same names, responding to him, and they said you can't do that. So it really does feel like they're doing everything in their power to find a reason to get rid of Steven Crowder. And don't make no mistake, my friends. They're going after him, but what happens when Crowder is off YouTube? Media Matters is political, obviously. They're trying to help Democrats. They go after the opponents of Democratic politicians and the establishment. But they're also a nonprofit that needs to raise money, so they need shock content to beg you to give them cash. Now, I'm not entirely sure if that's their business model, but I'm just speaking generally that any one of these outlets, when they're designed to just generate rage content, they need a target for whatever reason. After Steven Crowder goes, who do you think's coming next? I don't know if it would be me. I mean, my channels are fairly, as many people like to point out, moderate or milquetoast, as it were. But it is a fairly large show, so it's entirely possible. I don't think it's as easy, but it is possible to take things out of context. And there you go. They've already tried smearing us in the past. YouTube actually, this is crazy. We've been smeared, and YouTube went back and forth with, I argued with them, and they ultimately sided with us. So you can see they try. Maybe they don't push, further because it's, my channel's just too kind of meh, but it's coming. So I'm going to read you the story about Crowder, but I got to shout out timcast.com specifically because, dude, Crowder's 1 strike away from a total ban on YouTube. And it's Timcast IRL and Timcast News and my channels, Tim Pool channel, could be the next target. Go to timcast.com. In the top right, you will see members only. You can sign up to become a member with Stripe or PayPal in order to support my work if we get banned. And I've already got a warning on one channel. Facebook already took us out of the monetization program. So it is entirely possible once Crowder gets hit, they come for us. I think it's likely, actually. Become a member at timcast.com. Just like Crowder does with Mug Club, this is because censorship is real. So you can join the members only button. You can click the members only button. You can join. At the top, when you go to the website, there's a members area. You click that, and there's a bunch of exclusive segments. Some of these are full podcasts, an hour long, and we're going to be doing scripted shows. I just took a pitch from it for a scripted show. We're going to be doing new shows. We have the vlog, obviously. You can see that on the main page. That's all free. I'm trying to make sure we all survive this. I don't know what I can say for Steven because they're coming after him other than louderwithcrowder.com/mug club, I believe is the link if you want to support him as well. The reality is if we want to make sure we have a chance to speak up, challenge the establishment, it may mean paying money. Look, I have ads running my content on YouTube. You guys watch this stuff. It's free. You just got to watch some ads and it helps support the work and make sure we can keep working. I set up timcast.com because I knew this was coming. Check this out. Hillary Clinton. There has to be a global reckoning with disinformation. We know what that means. They're not talking about disinformation. It's a trick. It's a manipulation. The establishment wants to take the mainstream press, create a monoculture, and ban anyone who dare challenge them. That's what Hillary Clinton wants. Let me read you the story from louderwithcrowder.com. They say, here we go once again. YouTube issued a second hard strike on the Steven Crowder channel, barring us from publishing content for 2 weeks. YouTube also hit the Crowder Bits channel with a hard strike, barring us from publishing content for 1 week. Now, I want to point out, if after a week Crowder tries posting a video to Crowder Bits, YouTube will claim it's circumventing a ban, and that is a permanent ban for all accounts. If you have 4 channels and one of them gets a strike, you cannot publish on any of those channels because they call it circumvention of the rules. Instead of giving you a strike for that, they permanently delete all of the channels. They want to say, why, you ask? YouTube said the video about the Columbus shooting violated their harassment, threats, and cyberbullying policy. I can't link you to the video in question, only tell you the podcast episode is still available, as are the show notes. According to YouTube, YouTube creators share their opinions on a wide range of different topics. However, there's a line between passionate debate and malicious harassment. Content containing targeted harassment, including but not limited to stalking, threats, bullying, and intimidation, is not allowed on YouTube. That doesn't seem like something Steven Crowder has done. This is an interesting note, which we'll revisit. YouTube emailed attorney Bill Richmond and specified what about the video violated their policy. Now, here's where they get specific. In particular, this video violated the aspect of the policy that prohibits content reveling in or mocking the death or serious injury of an identifiable individual. Accordingly, the video has been removed and a strike has been applied to the Steven Crowder channel. This constitutes the second active strike on the Steven Crowder channel, and as a result, uploads are now suspended for 2 weeks. That is complete BS, and we all know it. Let me first explain to you what they said. The video they're referring to didn't revel in the death or serious injury of an identifiable individual. It seems YouTube is unhappy the studio crew agreed the shooting of a teenager trying to stab another was justified. White, black, Hispanic, or identifying as transgender alien, he says. If you're trying to stab someone else and you get shot by an officer, sorry, but that's the way the cookie crumbles. Maybe a little bit callous, but certainly not reveling in it. And even if it is, that is an opinion that you can't figure out where the line is. Now, what have I said when I talk about this issue? It's a sad story. I wish it didn't happen. But what are the police supposed to do? Well, I've said, you know what? How about the cops just stop responding to these calls? If Steven Crowder said, we follow the law, it's being followed. Sorry, that's the law. Why would you get a strike for that? Because his attitude? YouTube doesn't say don't have a blasé attitude about someone losing their life. This is what's freaky about the whole thing. In this instance, what we had is a story. It's tragic. I don't think anybody's really happy with it. I don't think Crowder's happy about it. I think they're being blunt. Someone lost their life. It's sad. But this woman had a knife and she was cranking it back, ready to stab a woman. The law was followed. This officer was trying to defend another person. I wish it didn't happen. I hope people stay away from the situations. And as I've said, maybe the cops shouldn't respond to this. But Steven Crowder was agreeing with the law. And for that, it appears YouTube has given him a strike, which says to me it's bunk. And if they can give you a strike for that, they can give a strike to anybody. And they will. So long as they decide it's your time. They go on to say, this seems like an excuse to issue just another strike, a second strike. 3 strikes and the channel is gone. We did a little skipping through YouTube memory lane, though. Since YouTube says it doesn't like harassment of identifiable individuals, we thought we'd see if we could find other notable mentions on YouTube of hosts mocking identifiable individuals, not public figures, just regular folks, since harassment can't be tolerated. Here's what we found. And of course, they did. I mean, they highlight the Covington kids. Think about what all of these high-profile people were doing to these kids, talking about wanting to hit them, commit acts of violence, break the law. YouTube wants to get rid of Steven Crowder. They don't like him. He is, I believe, the only, well, he's a morning host now. He used to be a late-night comedy host, but it's the equivalent of watching any one of these comedy shows, on mainstream TV networks. But he does it from an anti-establishment and conservative perspective. I think that's it. Steven, you're a deviant. Can't have that. The establishment has to purge. So what does this all mean? We're doing our due diligence on the legal fronts. We're still going to put a live show on for you because that's what we do. You'll be able to watch the show free on our live page, louderwithcrowder.com/live. But note that this isn't a player you can just scrub to. They say, so, don't miss the show. They have at 10 a.m. every morning. You should also become a Mug Club subscriber. We've said this for years. YouTube is after us. They don't seem to like our exercising of free speech. Do you need any more evidence? With a Mug Club subscription, you can catch the live show, watch it after it's gone live, interact with the show via the chat, and access the rest of Blaze TV's conservative lineup. Now, a lot of people have hit me up and say, Tim, it's really great that you're shouting out Mug Club and supporting Steven Crowder. Well, first and foremost, on principle, absolutely, we must do this. Crowder is a big player, a big defender of free speech, and he is far from the most egregious actor on YouTube. They're going after him, and it is unjust, it is unethical, and it is clearly politically motivated. So we have an obligation to defend this. As for shouting out Mug Club to help Crowder maintain and make money, because even if he gets banned from YouTube, we need a balance in perspective. A lot of people on the left, they get banned when they talk about Israel and Palestine, and things are getting really hot right now. They should not be banned when they talk about these things. My fear is that you get rid of a Crowder and then the whole scale tips further and further left. That's what they are doing. They're eroding the baseline of conversation. Now, don't get me wrong. Self-preservation exists in this as well. I know that once Crowder's gone, guess who's next up on the chopping block? I don't know if I'm the prime target, but eventually it will come for all of us. It'll come for the left the same as it comes for the right. So yeah, there's a little bit of self-preservation in trying to make sure that Crowder can maintain his business, because I'm a fairly moderate individual. I love it. The right calls me left. The left calls me right. I must be doing something right, I suppose. I want to make sure there's a robust left and a robust right having an argument, and then I can sit there in the middle and talk about my perspective as well. When Crowder goes, they'll start claiming I'm far right. They already claim I'm conservative, which is not true. But here we are. It seems like if you know, it seems like if you defy the narrative, if you actually track the news and the evidence, they can't have you. It's a problem, and they want to get rid of it. Real journalism's got to go. Look what they do to Julian Assange. I'm pretty sure he's an award-winning journalist. He is one of the most consequential people of our generation. And what have they done? Joe Biden right now, don't get me wrong, Donald Trump as well. It was one of the biggest mistakes. Now I will say, I think Trump wanted Julian Assange because he wanted him to spill the beans on the establishment. But Assange is like, I'm not playing that game. For this, the man has suffered. Hillary Clinton and her ilk will not stand for people with loud voices doing this kind of work. Now, here's the challenge. The system was built. It's a runaway train. It created opportunity. So channels like Crowder's grew, and they didn't pay attention. I remember back in the day, maybe like 10 years ago, they were like, YouTube, we don't care about YouTube. And it grew and it grew and it grew. And then finally they were like, wait a minute. These people are challenging the establishment narrative. It's making it hard for us to propagandize. What do we do? Oh, no, it's helping Donald Trump. What do we do? That was a mistake. So then all of a sudden, Google got rid of their slogan, don't be evil. Remember that? Now it's forget individual freedoms, be evil, I guess. Hillary Clinton. The Guardian interview. The former Secretary of State warns of the danger to democracy of lies flourishing online and says big tech's wings must be clipped. She's right. 100% right in that one sentence. Lies on the internet. Yeah, lies coming from the mainstream media, and to be fair, coming from fringe wackos as well. However, you have a right to post content. You have a right to express your opinion. And this idea that we must ban disinformation is basically saying that if you're too stupid, you're not allowed to participate. There are a lot of people who genuinely believe dumb things. They're allowed to speak. I don't know. Often I look at the post and I'm like, that's really dumb and clearly not true, but you're allowed to be a stupid person. Now, some of these things I know to be false, but guess what? I make mistakes too. That's why you can't draw a line and say, we ban disinformation, because then you get Russiagate. You're trying to claim that Glenn Greenwald's a Russian agent, all this other stupid trash, and Julian Assange. That's right. Anyone who dare oppose the establishment, Russia. Sure. You see what they do, though. Clearly, the Russia stuff was a lie. It's not about disinformation. Otherwise, Hillary Clinton would have been banned a long time ago. They say. The former Secretary of State and First Lady warns the breakdown of a shared truth and the divisiveness that surely follows poses a danger to democracy at a moment when China is selling the conceit that autocracy works. Clinton speaks to The Guardian via Zoom from her home in Chappaqua, New York, probably pronouncing it wrong, Chappaqua, in an interview to mark the newspaper's bicentenary this month. I think The Guardian has been a great exemplar of press freedom for 200 years. Yes, The Guardian, who pumps out a bunch of fake news. Sure. Look, Hillary Clinton makes some points. She's correct. The internet is fracturing. There's no single culture. The problem is the Democrats' version of monoculture is anti-liberal. It is illiberal. And I know I'm not talking about colloquial liberalism. I'm talking about classical liberalism, the right of the individuals, freedom, pursuit of happiness. The Democrats are like, we need to have a shared worldview. That's authoritarian. And then they use the lie that China's trying to make you think autocracy works. That's you. That's not Trump. Trump didn't do enough. Trump could have sent in the troops. He was being asked to by Tom Cotton. He didn't do it. He let the rioters run rampant. He did not do enough. He didn't fire enough people. He just did kind of okay in some areas, I guess. Better than what you'd get from Biden, that's for sure. They say, I love this. Here comes the Russia. In the 2016 election, Clinton was the first woman to be nominated. We get it. In addition, Moscow helped fuel a social media disinformation campaign that targeted likely Democratic voters. You see, this is how they manipulate you. Russia spent like $100,000 getting barely any views. It was a microscopic failure of a campaign, but they did. And then they can just say it. And they want you to make assumptions. They want you to assume Vladimir Putin was like, destroy American social media. When in reality, he was probably sitting there like, oh, whatever, I don't know. Not really paying attention all that much. But the media will tell you it was this major, massive campaign. When we look at the data, there were Democrat operatives. One guy got banned from Facebook because they were running bot accounts that wrote words in Cyrillic, like Russian alphabet, or it's the Cyrillic alphabet, but that's what Russia uses, so that it looked like certain Republicans were being pumped up by Russia. It's a dirty game. Where's their comeuppance and accountability? So here we go. The press cannot be expected to restore a common baseline of truth on its own. Quote, the technology platforms are so much more powerful than any organ of the so-called mainstream press. And I do think that there has to be not just an American reckoning, but a global reckoning with disinformation, with the monopolistic power and control, with the lack of accountability that platforms currently enjoy. She's correct on that. In particular, Facebook, which has the worst track record for enabling mistruths, misinformation, extremism, conspiracy, for goodness sake, even genocide in Myanmar against the Rohingya. So governments are going to have to decide right now that the platforms have to be held to some kind of standard. And it's tricky. See, the problem is she's not talking about free speech. She's talking about banning speech, holding them accountable so they can't allow people to spread news. A report commissioned by Facebook found in 2018, the company failed to stop its platform being used to foment division and incite offline violence in Myanmar. They say there are signs that Joe Biden, the U.S. Congress, and the FTC intend to take a tougher line on big tech. But Clinton acknowledged it's not easily done. They're incredibly powerful. But I don't see any alternative if we're going to try and deal with the very real dangers that disinformation and the divisiveness it breeds pose to our democracies. Trump took swipes at internet companies, but concentrated most of his fire on CNN, the New York Times, and other mainstream media. He notoriously gorged on press attention while also demonizing them as the enemy of the people. Clinton, who as Secretary of State traveled the world promoting freedom of the press, was appalled. Once an American president said that the press was the enemy of the people, that gave permission to all kinds of autocrats to make the same claim. I don't know any American president who's ever thought he got fair press. They always believe that they are not understood or they're being held to impossible standards. Just stop. The idea that Barack Obama, the idea that George W. Bush, the activists came out for George Bush, but the New York Times sold us on the Iraq War, you scumbags. Barack Obama blew up kids, killed Americans without charge or trial. And Donald Trump comes along and it's 99% or 97% negative press. You look at the charts, you can see the amount of press attention Obama got was nothing. Trump, it was psychotic. It was insane. Now, you want to talk about enemy of the people? Well, he said the fake news. Sure. I think he's talking about these big, massive mainstream media companies who pump out lie after lie after lie. The New York Times putting out the other day, there are no long lines for gas. I didn't think I was going to be affected by the gas shortage because we're in the area where Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia kind of meet. And I'm like, we're far enough away from where a lot of supply lines, West Virginia wasn't hit by this. Surprise, surprise. In West Virginia, reports of gas stations running out of gas. Could be panic buying, but There are some people saying that the recent delivery was disrupted. And so things should be back to normal by the end of the week. But this does mean that normal supply was disrupted. I don't know. I fear what comes next when they get rid of someone like Crowder. People criticize him, but he's allowed to speak his mind. He's not breaking any laws. In fact, he was supporting the upholding of the law, and they gave him a strike for it. We don't know what the rules are. We only know that if they want to get rid of you, they will. And they're doing everything in their power to embolden the establishment. Hillary Clinton's coming out and saying these things, and the Democrats have the power. Don't be surprised if they pass a bill to strip you of your First Amendment rights and then say, yeah, well, sue us. See what the Supreme Court says. And then maybe 2 years later, you'll get your rights back. That's how it works. Look at 2A. They pass these bills, which are clearly unconstitutional, and then make us spend 10 years suing so that we get our rights back. They're inalienable. We had the right to begin with. You're just violating our rights. I imagine it'll only get worse from here. So make sure you guys go to louderwithcrowder.com if you're fans and follow up on what's going on, but I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. at youtube.com/Timcast. I'll see you there. And I'll just stress, I understand YouTube banning people. A lot of people are like, just quit, just leave the platform. We have to leverage what we can while we can on these platforms because the reality is that's where people go. And I know it's not simple. That's just reality. I'll see you all in the next segment.